Welcome back to another UFC fight prediction video. In this video, I'll be predicting the main card fights for UFC 241, Cormier versus Miocic 2. So without further ado, let's get to our first fight on the main card. So in our first fight on the main card, we have in the middleweight division, Brunson versus Heinisch. So in this fight, Brunson, I think, is the better fighter everywhere. I think he's the better striker, the better wrestler. As a matter of fact, he is the better wrestler. Striking maybe more debatable, but wrestling, he clearly is the better wrestler. Clearly the more experienced fighter. So in every area, I see Brunson is the better fighter. But what Heinisch brings so far in his career is that he may not be the best fighter in the cage and really hasn't been in any of these fights he's had in the UFC, but he's been the tougher man. He's been the one that can win the war of attrition or nutrition, or whatever you want to call it. He's been able to win the long battle. He might not come out blazing, just running through his opponents, but his opponents try to run through him. He endures, he scrambles, he outworks them, gets them tired. Then he starts picking up the pace on them and starts hurting them. He's not afraid to go for submissions, even if he's going against the greed black belt. And so he's a scrappy guy. He's not afraid of any fighter. He's gonna go out there and put on a fight. And I would say in the past I would pick Brunson easily in this fight, but I'm gonna have to go the other way with Heinisch in this fight. I think that Brunson in his last fight against Elias Theodorou looked kind of sketchy a little bit. I think he switched camps or something, changed something up for that fight. I think left here, left there, was just going around looking for different looks. And he did win the fight, but his cardio didn't look as good. And when he got some takedowns, he had some controls, made some poor decisions here and there. He still won the fight, but he just didn't look as fresh as he could look, and especially in areas that he should have been stronger. And especially, like I said, the grappling area, which I think will be important in this fight. I don't think maybe he lost a step, or maybe he just had a weird performance. But either way, it's what have you done for me lately? Looking at last performance, his cardio didn't look up to par, and that's gonna be important against Heinisch. And also, Heinisch is more, I guess, strong-headed in this fighting approach. I think Brunson does get sloppy at times. I think being sloppy at times and not really having your cardio and wrestling pace up to par, that's going to allow Heinisch into the fight. And I think that first round might be Brunson, he's a quick starter, but when he starts making mistakes, I think Heinisch is going to take advantage of those mistakes. If he starts to slow down, Heinisch is going to pick it up. I think it'll be a close, gritty fight, but I think Heinisch is just going to have it more later in those later rounds or later in the fight to, win maybe the second round at that second half and win that third round big to win a very close decision, probably a split decision or just a real close decision. But I got Heinisch in this fight via decision. Now on to our next fight we have in the featherweight division, Gabriel Benitez versus Sodiq Yusuff. And let me just compliment Gabriel Benitez very quickly before I get to the prediction. I think Gabriel Benitez came off that one of those Latin America seasons. I don't know if it was the first one, second one, or something like that, but I know he definitely came off one of those seasons. And he looked very raw coming off those seasons, but in a very short time since really getting this level of competition, or really been embracing this level of MMA, he's shown a lot of growth. And a lot of those Latin American fighters have shown a lot of growth. They come out looking raw, just throwing ugly submissions up, throwing ugly strikes and throwing this and that. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, a year and some change, maybe 2 years, you start seeing some clean boxing, you see this, start to see that, some of that, some real actual good jiu-jitsu instead of just drawing up submissions from any position and not worrying about getting past your guard pass. But you guys seeing solid work, solid improvements, huge leaps. And he has improved a lot. His boxing looked real clean. I think against the Ishihara fight, he looked real clean. And this other fight, he looked real clean. But yeah, he's been looking a lot cleaner. Physically, he's been toned up a lot. So, but yeah, basically, a lot of improvements. But to get to the point, Sodiq Yusuff, I think, is just better everywhere. He's a much better striker. He's a fast fighter, the more talented fighter. And I think he puts it together much better. I think his kicks are much better, and he could chain all those tools together and blend them much better than Benitez does. Benitez is a solid fighter, but I think Yusuff is just more talented and more technical and a better fighter at this point. And I think he just chews Benitez up in the striking department, and I think he stops him early in the third. So in this fight, I got Sodiq Yusuff via third round TKO. Now to our next fight we have in the middleweight division, Romero versus Paulo Costa or Boachinya or whatever you want to call him. This is an interesting matchup right here. It was supposed to happen. I think somebody got injured, then it was supposed to happen or something, then Costa tested positive. But now the matchup's happening again. And this is a very interesting matchup. I think it could go either way, and that's what you could say about pretty much any fight because it's 50-50, one man versus another man. But what I see with Paulo Costa, I'm not really impressed, man. People keep talking about he's this and that. At one time, they were sizing him more than Israel Adesanya just because of this. But I really haven't seen nothing all that technical from him. I haven't seen no amazing grappling. He's a guy, young guy, big physical with power. He could put it in the right place. I'm not saying his technique is sloppy. Clean technique, but nothing spectacular about his striking or how he put it together. Nothing spectacular about his grappling. He's a big physical guy. He's going to walk you down. He's going to throw punches. He's got a good chin because he's young and probably got a big round head. So he could take a shot, he could walk you down without fear and just swing on you. And if you flip or fall or you just make a takedown that easy for him, he's going to take you down and he's going to beat on you. So really all he's going to do is either beat you up on the feet or beat you up on the ground. That's all he does. He's a big walking bruiser, knuckle dragger. Romero has more finesse and technique to his game. He's a silver medalist wrestler. A lot of technique and experience in his wrestling. Has had some cardio issues, but Romero's a full package fighter. He can wrestle. He has some underrated grappling. And his fight IQ is continually improving. His defense is very underrated. And he goes against like Paulo Costa with his movement, like with Romero's movement and his fight IQ, his defense, like very underrated defense, really ever getting hit too clean in his fight. So he has solid, underrated striking defense, and he can move. He's fast, quick twitch. I think that's caused Paulo Costa a lot of issues. He can't just walk him down like a Uriah Hall who's just going to back up to the cage unless you just punch him in the body. This guy's going to be moving the whole time. He'll be going for takedowns and putting you in a lot of positions you're not used to. And at his pace you aren't used to. I think it's going to be too much for Costa. He hasn't fought in a good little minute now. And Romero is a huge jump up in competition for him. Like, really, even though he fought some former champions and this and that, some experienced fighters, at the point he fought them, they're pretty much entry-level tier. Like, Johnny Hendricks was on his way out, so he's on the other side of the door. He's on his way out for Uriah Hall, who's up and down. But now he's fighting a guy who's a certified killer. I think Romero's going to be mixing the takedowns, mixing angles, giving him different shots, exploding in, and really just making him look. And then when he's getting him to look at one, he's going to hit him with something else. I think Romero fights. It's going to be a competitive fight, but I think Romero's going to kind of put some veteran moves on him, get him to look one way, and catch him with something else, explode on him, catch him, drop him, maybe probably missing a couple takedown attempts. If he's successful or not, it's going to get him to worry about those. That ain't going to set like the beginning of the third round. He eventually sets him up and drops him, finishes him off with that killer instinct, that finishing ability, and stops Costa in the third. So in this fight, I have Yoel Romero via third round TKO. Now on to our next fight, or now on to our co-main event we have in the welterweight division, Anthony Pettis versus Nate Diaz. So Nate Diaz has been out for how long? I don't know. This guy, ever since he fought Conor McGregor, he's been fighting waiting around for Conor McGregor to fight him again. Even before then, he was having some contract issues. So he's been really not the most active guy for a very long time. He's been fighting once a year. Really, he's been averaging less than one fight a year. He's been averaging less than one fight a year. So that's crazy right now because he hasn't been fighting every year. But whatever the case is, Nate Diaz is back. I think he's probably going to be an improved fighter, but Nate Diaz never really changed too much. He might get better in some little areas, or better at being himself, but he's still a slow plodding pillow puncher who's going to put volume on you. He's not a power puncher. He might be able to put some power on some shots, but he's really the guy that's going to swell you up with value. He's going to be in your face trying to smother you, keep the punches on you till you make mistakes, maybe go get you in the guillotine or get you to go to the ground or something like that. Or maybe just wear on you till you can't stand up no more, or just wear on you and punch you, and so you can't really throw nothing back at him. But against a guy like Anthony Pettis, who's a former champion, a veteran, very fast, very agile, very fleet-footed, who can mix up kicks, mix up strikes. And I don't think Pettis is going to be worried to take down Nate Diaz. He's not going to take Nate Diaz down out of what's called panic. But if he's calculated with his takedowns, I don't think he's going to be worried to be in Nate Diaz's guard. Anthony Pettis is very confident in his grappling, so I think he can mix that in there very well. And Nate Diaz has been shut down by wrestlers several times in his career, so if Anthony Pettis wants to mix that in, I think he can do that, which will allow him to open up the head kick, the high kick, or whatever you want to say. And that might eventually open up the body kick. Just mixing things in together, I think he's going to be too fast, too agile for the slow, plodding Nate Diaz, slow mummy, trying to get on him. He could just move around, kick him in the leg, probably take away his wheels, which are already slow, kick him in the body, mix up stuff, and really just have Nate Diaz trying to find him the whole fight. And over the course of 3 rounds and not a 5-round fight, that just only makes it worse. So Anthony Pettis could fight at a higher pace. He could be on the wheels more. And Nate Diaz doesn't even throw leg kicks or stuff like that. So Nate Diaz is not going to even be attacking his wheels, whereas Anthony Pettis will be attacking his wheels, attacking them high, attacking them low, mixing and grappling. And Nate Diaz is going to be kind of limited, and I just feel like Anthony Pettis just plays tag with him and wins the matchup. He might even finish him. I'm going to give Nate Diaz respect, give his respect to his chin, give respect to his grappling, that he's going to survive the fight and make it a decision. Probably would be a little bit competitive, but Anthony Pettis is going to too fast, too quick, too versatile for the slow plodding Nate Diaz. So in this fight, I have Anthony Pettis via decision. Now to our main event, we have in the heavyweight division, Daniel Cormier versus Stipe Miocic 2, a rematch. The undisputed heavyweight champion Daniel Cormier facing the man he beat to get the title, the really still champ Daniel Cormier, who never lost his belt So his light heavyweight belt. So still technically champ, never lost that belt. So this is a very big match, a very big rematch. But let's get to the point of this whole prediction right here. I think my prediction kind of stays the same as my first prediction. Like Cormier, I still feel is the much better, more technical fighter. I don't know why people in the first fight were thinking that Cormier wouldn't strike with Stipe Miocic. Cormier strikes with everyone. He struck with Rumble, struck with Jones, struck with Gustafsson, struck with Barnett. He strikes with everybody. He might not want to be, I'm a striker. I'm just going to strike the whole fight. He knows he's a wrestler, but he's not afraid to strike with anybody. I say he could strike with Stipe the whole fight without even going for an actual physical takedown. He's going dirty box and get in the clinch, but as far as just going desperado for a takedown and trying to lay on Stipe Miocic, that's never going to be his game plan. His whole game plan is I'm going to make Stipe feel my punches, make Stipe feel my kicks, make Stipe feel that I'm the better fighter, and I am the better fighter. He said he felt like he's a better boxer than him. He kind of showed it in that first fight, kind of. But yeah, I think in this fight, what I don't really like about Stipe Miocic coming in this fight is that he's making so many excuses for his loss. I know some of his fans be acting like he didn't lose that first fight, or his excuses are valid, or he's not making those excuses. But he was making excuses from the very moment he lost that belt. Oh, an eye poke. Oh, I was winning the whole fight until I got caught. I was taking him down. I was feeling comfortable and blah, blah, blah. But in reality, he wasn't really doing much of anything. He had some success. He looked good in some parts of that little, very short fight. But nothing really substantial was done by him in that first. That was not even that it was. He was finished in the first round, so nothing was substantial in that 3 or 4 minutes, 4 minutes and change. Nothing was really substantial. He didn't really take no lead on Cormier or started change no course of no fight. It was just a fight still in his filling out process. He looked decent to start, but then when DC felt his power, felt him in the clinch, DC started to walk him down, and then so the moment he started walking him down, the finish came shortly after. So Cormier felt his power. Was like, I could take his power. And as soon as he started walking him down, the fight was over in like 30 seconds. So in reality, Cormier filled him out and then said, I could beat this guy and knocked him out. So in reality, the only one who had control in that fight was Cormier. And I feel like Cormier is a smarter fighter. I feel like Stipe is more of this black and, I would say, bland, basic fighter. He's big. He got some decent boxing, some decent wrestling. And in the heavyweight division where a lot of people aren't really the most well-rounded, he said, I'll strike most of the people in this weight class, and if the guys that can cause me issue on the feet, I can just take them down. That's really his whole style. If you're going to cause him grief on the feet, he could take you down, lay on you, and on the feet, if he got strike, he'll just outstrike. That's all he does. Whereas Daniel Cormier will mix in takedowns, he'll play with you, set things up. Like even the fight against Stipe in the first fight. You might say, where did that come from? But he said before the fight that Stipe leaves his chin open on the exit of the clinches, so he saw that. And what happened? He knocked him out on the exit of the clinch. So he said before the fight what he was going to do, and then he did exactly what he said he was going to do in the fight. Leaves that chin open on exiting the clinches. And even in the clinches, like when Stipe got the first takedown, or at several points in the fight, that little short fight, Cormier was working that overhand, like the clinch, like the overhand clinch, and shifting Stipe's weight. He was playing with him or seeing how Stipe would react to things. And he even kind of threw that punch a little bit earlier on in that short fight. So he was working for that clinch. He was trying to find that punch. And then he eventually found it when he did find it. And it was night. So he was working for that the whole time. Stipe was clueless to it. But it wasn't like Cormier was thinking smarter. Cormier don't just think, I'm going to lay on somebody or I'm going to do this. He's always thinking ways to find more than just the obvious ways to victory. Like he thinks on a higher level than Stipe does. Stipe is more like a cut and dry type of fighter. He's talented and all, but he's a cut and dry type of fighter. His fight IQ isn't all that phenomenal. So I just feel like Cormier is just the smarter fighter, the more technical fighter. And I think he could beat him everywhere. I think he could stand with Stipe over the course of the 5 rounds if needed to a decision. He could take him down if he needed to. And he could just outsmart him, outpoint him, and just put a game plan together and just follow through effectively and get the win. I think he could beat him either way. He might be able to submit him. He could knock him out. He could decision him. Where Stipe's really only chance is to knock him out. He can't out-wrestle him. As a matter of fact, he said that too. He said, Stipe can't out-wrestle me. Stipe can't out-grapple me. All Stipe's chance to beat me is to knock me out. And so Stipe really left with just trying to knock him out. So Cormier is a more technical fighter, the more experienced fighter, the more accomplished fighter with more paths to victory. And he's shown it. I think he can do that in this fight just like he did in the first fight. I think this fight going to be a little bit more dragged out than the first fight. I more so expect this fight to play out how I expected the first fight to play out. Like it's going to be competitive to start, but once Cormier starts to get his groove on, he'll start to walk Stipe Miocic down, start to land some big shots on him, start to go for his own takedowns, rough him up in clinch, and go typical DC style. Heavy pressure, dirty boxing, mixing and wrestling, landing big shots, and just wearing on Stipe, and then eventually land some big shots, get him on the ground, and finish him with some ground and pound in the 3rd round. So in this fight, I got Daniel Cormier via 3rd round TKO. And that concludes my fight predictions for the main card of UFC 241, Cormier versus Miocic 2. And as always, thanks for watching.